Hey guys, just want to do a quick little training video on the engine 146 here. I am installing a new winch cable onto the winch right now because the previous one was damaged, and I just want to do a quick little training to show proper winching techniques and also how to care for our cable. So let me show you what happened to the old one. So the old one, the eyelet that bolts to the winch drum was actually pulled loose from it. So the only thing that holds this cable to the winch itself is that tiny little screw. So obviously we can't be pulling the entire truck weight. So our trucks weigh almost 15,000 pounds, and these winches are only 12,000 pound capacity winches. So let's take a look at our cable real quick. So right here, just like our ropes, the cable, if it has any sort of defect in it like this, a flat spot, the strands actually weaken, and this is a weak spot for the cable where it can actually break on when you're winching. So there's one there. Another one here. So a couple other spots, the strands have come loose. And these aren't too bad, but you just have some kinks in the cable. All these are defects, just like our TRT ropes. There's another flat spot there, where if you have any defect in the strands, that they can actually break, especially while our winching. So, let's throw this cable aside. The way we increase our winching capacity is we have our cable set up in a double pull. So we have the cable coming off our winch and the other side of it attached to the truck. And how we do this, we have our tree saver, also known as the tow strap, attached to the tree. Wrap 3, pull 2 type of deal. We have snatch blocks on all of our trucks also. All you do is disconnect this, and you can wrap this through tree, and you open this up, and you can actually attach your cable as well, just like that. Okay, wrap this pin through, and now we're fully attached, ready to start winching. Okay. Alright, so I got my controller set up. The controller should be wrapped up and it's in the driver's door pocket where it should be stored. That way it's out of the boxes, it won't get damaged, won't have anything hit the cable. It'll be safe in the door pocket. Pretty easy operation. You have cable going out, cable going in. In order to operate the winch, you have to have the body master switch on, which is powered to the utility body. Also on both of these trucks we have winches, or the winches have this plate on it. So this plate right here keeps pressure on the cable in order to keep the cable nice and tight. So you never ever want to have the cable overlap each other itself. That's how the flat spots happen. So until you have tension on it with the truck, pull tension on it manually with your hand. So I'm going to start cabling in. So there it's starting right there. And until I actually get proper tension, I'm going to have to push this cable all the way over to the side of the drum. Because if you have a gap over on that side, then that cable is going to get stuck in there, and that's going to be a spot where it can get flat spotted. So let me grab a tool real quick to push that over. Alright, so I got a large screwdriver or a hammer. All I'm going to do is push that cable all the way over to the edge. I'm going to do this as I'm winching in. you may have to stand here to try and get the cable to come in at a good angle. Okay, so I've started to pull the truck. This is the starting spot of how many wraps that you want to have on the drum before you start pulling tension on this. The reason the eyelet was pulled out on the other cable is because the cable is pulling directly against the eyelet. Okay, and it's not strong enough to pull 15,000 pounds on this truck. So now with about 4 wraps around the drum, the cable and the winch now have a capacity where they can pull against it. So with this being on flat ground, I have the truck in neutral. For this instance, because we're on downhill, I have the parking brake just mildly applied. And now I'm going to start winching the truck. Obviously, if you have a damaged cable, you don't want to have your leg riding on it because you might get a cable burr or something in your leg. So always have gloves on and eye protection. So because this is in a controlled state, I'm standing here and making sure the cable is fully winded up. Alright, you can see what I did here. A little bit of slack got into the cable, and the cable got overlapped onto itself. So we're going to have to back this off and fix that before we go any further, because that's what flat spots the cable right there. So I'm going to come out and I'm going to pull tension on it with my hands. Okay, it just popped loose, and now I'm going to go back in and keep it lined up. See, the truck just came loose again a little bit, so I got tension on it with my hand. Right there, I just created a gap in the cable too. So once again, we'll back it off. Until we get it lined up. See that right there? I overlapped it again, so I'm going to have to get this truck reset and try winching again. Alright, so I set the parking brake a little bit more on the truck so it wouldn't roll on me. I'm going to back it off a little bit. Yeah, the cable kicked out. Okay. Now one thing that we're doing is our angle is really screwed up on this pole. So we need to have the driver operator be in the truck while somebody's winching, steering it towards whichever direction. So I'm going to kick the parking brake off a little bit. Okay, full weight of the truck. And also I'm going to steer it. Fire it up real quick so I got power steering. Alright, so now the truck will start pulling towards the cable. Alright, so I got that cable all jacked up right now. Parking brakes applied, once again, then back it back out. Okay, I got tension back on it. Releasing the parking brake. Now back winching. Alright, so I got more gaps in there again. So once again, I'm going to have to reset the truck. I'm coming up on the curb. So I'm actually going to reset this cable into a single pull since we have no resistance that we have to worry about the weight. So stay tuned and I'll reset the truck. So I decided I'm just going to finish resetting the cable by hand here versus actually pulling on the truck. I think you guys get the idea of not crossing over the cable and how you can do this on a weekly basis on your weeklies. Of pulling the cable out, inspecting it, see if you have any flat spots, see if you have a damaged cable. That way come monsoon season when we're chasing lightning strikes, we can easily winch ourselves out, which is what happened on this truck. So all I'm doing is going to hold it in by hand. It's a brand new cable, so I shouldn't have any burrs in it that I need to worry about. But also if you do feel a burr, then that's a good indicator that you need a new cable because the strand's broken. So now all I'm doing is just going to keep it lined up and winch it in. So when you're keeping this in the stowed position, don't winch it too tight. Just that little bit is all you need, because you don't want to put a crease in the cable right here, another spot where it could break. So another option on the winch here is your control. So this is in gear. If you were to flip this forward, you'd actually be in neutral and you can pull the cable out by hand. You can see the person walking with the cable there versus in the truck mode is that way. Alright, so any questions, feel free to give me a call, email me, hit subscribe and like on this, and I will do more videos from the apparatus training department.